course. I also think that actually having players playing in their proper position, it's like as I said a couple of weeks ago, Fleming needs to play behind the striker, and for the last 3 games he's been playing.
Yeah, it was nice to have a win. I thought my pessimistic 1-1 draw prediction was going to be bang on the money, but yeah, good result. Nice to break that 7-month hoodoo. The 2 goals conceding away from home hoodoo as well. We had a wrap round on net. So
yeah, that was me, mate. Yeah, he didn't listen, when he was standing there, he just like it was just he thought that it probably was going to go in, but when he took it, it's like what the fuck? What are you doing?
I think there's been a lot of talk that we don't, or Rowett doesn't know what his best team is. Personally, and I know we've said about swapping Bradshaw and Afobe, but today is probably the closest to the best team that we've got available at the moment in that system.
Good evening, welcome to another edition of that live interactive podcast. There's Joe giving you the Fleming pose. All he needs is a pair of guns and he'll be laughing. But hey ho, here we go. This is the first in a few of the five-a-side. I don't know what do you want to call it? Five-a-side series, I suppose, of where we are going to pick the best all-time five-a-side Millwall team. Today's episode, we're going to be looking at shortlisting the goalkeepers and shortlisting the defenders, because obviously throughout our time we've had quite a few of each, and I don't think that there's many really who will make that list. To be fair, I think the keepers list will be quite easy. The defensive list might be slightly more difficult, but hey, without further ado, I'm going to welcome the guest on board. We're going to start with the one and only Joe Zampa. How you doing, fella?
How you doing, Mickey? You all right? I don't get bored of that Fleming goal celebration.
And you got Danny Shittu's t-shirt on that says, is it the one that says,
this is the...
That's what we do, innit? Yeah, see? That's what we do. It's a bit like us.
I use it as a pyjama top now, so it's been worn a few times over the years, but yeah, won't
okay.
Although Mrs. Watts would throw it away, but I won't let her.
Find Danny, get him to sign it and frame it. We're joined by Stephen, one of our normal live panels. Good evening, Stephen.
Evening, guys. Thanks for having me back on. Looking forward to this
Not
one.
Not a problem. It's contractual, fella, or else we wouldn't have you on, but yeah, you know. And we're joined by the one and only. You've seen him plenty times, or you've heard him plenty of times on the Twitter space. You've probably read his articles in numerous local papers, and especially on the website. We have the one and only Kai Bennett. No, I'm sorry. We have the one and only Alex Grace.
Evening, mate. You all right?
Not too bad. I'm all good. Good evening to everyone watching and listening. You know how this plays. If it's your first time, the comment section. You disagree with us, you agree with us, you have a comment, you want to recommend a player who we haven't thought of, just put it in the comment and start getting involved. This is a fully interactive recorded show, and without you guys, it becomes just a standardised podcast, what we do normally. So it's up to you. If you want to comment. If you don't, you don't. Normally the way these go, we get about 20 minutes in and then we get hit with inundated amount of comments. Right, gents, I realistically think for keepers it's fairly easy, as in who will be the list going forward so that we can get votes and other videos and try and limit it down. But my one would be Bryan King, Brian Horne, Kassey Keller, Tony Warner, David Ford, Bart. I would also have a look at Alex Stepney. Any keepers I've missed out, really? Anyone's over the time that you think, we've got to have him in? And
Dave Martin,
whoever
Jordan
says...
Archer.
Jordan Archer. There's always fucking one in there. There we go. We're down to 3 now. Do you know what I mean? That's your first warning, all right? Next time I'm going to cut you right off. I don't think Jordan Archer, but I think those are okay to a degree. I mean, we'll start with you, Joe. Any of those, what you think we need to add to?
I think they're the good ones, aren't they? They're the ones over the years, the ones I've seen anyway. My earliest memory, my first goalkeeper I saw for Millwall would be Bryan Horne back in the late 80s. And he was a great keeper, great shot stopper, not very agile, not very tall, but a decent shot stopper. Love Kassey Keller when he played for us as well. Tony Horne, definitely up there with one of my favourites. It's a tough one, to be honest with you, to sort of pick and choose between those ones. Would you just pick someone now, or we kind of come back to it?
No. What we're going to try and do through this show is pretty much list a load of keepers to go forward, and then basically we'll do a load of defenders, and then on the next show we'll do midfield and attack, and then we'll basically probably get to about 10 of each or so, and then we'll and then we can do some other social videos, get people, get a wider audience of people, and then pretty much nail it down. So I mean, Alex, who any keepers there we haven't got?
I don't think so. The only one that comes to mind for me, Preston Edwards.
Who's that?
Who?
Preston Edwards.
Really?
Preston Edwards. Yes, I remember. I don't think he wasn't there very long though, was he?
No, he wasn't there long. But that's one of the only ones I think that.
That's a 2007-8 season, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's about that. But no, I think generally you've got a decent list there. Bart, Fordy.
Do you know he only had one appearance, allegedly?
One? Is that it?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's many. I can't remember it being many, to be honest with you.
It's many.
Is it Keith Brannigan?
Yeah, Keith Brannigan, Malik Taylor.
Yeah, Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor was a good one for us.
Yeah, I was going to say him.
He was ex-Fulham, wasn't he, Mike Taylor?
Fucking hell, we've forgotten?
Who?
Fucking Andy Marshall.
Yes.
Oh, good God, yeah.
Oh, Nicky Johns.
That one a little bit.
He was Charlton's goalkeeping coach and not that long ago. I know. Andy Marshall.
Yeah.
That's probably why we forgot about him then.
Welcome to the show, Tony. Tony says Nicky Johns.
Who's he? The milkman?
Ooh.
Don't remember that. That's going back a long time.
That's going back a long time.
That's before my time. Can you tell me what year Nicky Johns played for us?
Nicky Johns.
Was it 1885?
1885. Stephen, who do you think?
I think Mike Taylor was off of the original list. I think that's one that could potentially be within the shout. I thought he was a really good goalkeeper, and considering he played for us right at the back end of his career, he really did a good job for us in that kind of half a season. But the names you called out, some of them are amongst sort of legends, like real, hero status players. So I think it's hard to look past the guys that you initially said.
Nicky Johns was 76 to 78. He had 50
just
appearances
look that
for
up.
us.
Yeah, just look that up.
What about Nigel Spinks and Crossley? Were they both loan players, or did they sign for us permanent? I can't remember.
Well, Crossley was a loan player, I think, or we signed. We either signed him or he was a loan one.
We were picking our best loan team, weren't we? I can't remember if they were loan players or not.
I'll tell you, I think he was a loan. I don't know. I mean, Alex, can you get a list of the keepers up? Because I think there was a few.
I'm just looking now.
The only other one that I can think of, and I know initially he was pretty good, and then I'm not sure what happened with him, was Lenny Pidgley.
Yes.
Chelsea.
Yeah. Jenny. Yeah, I remember him. Tom King.
Maybe.
A few years ago. Stephen Bywater.
Willie Guerrett. We said this before the show.
Oh, Willie Guerrett. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Good evening, Chris. Hope you're well, fella.
Because Willie was a really good goalkeeper, but he was in the shadow of Tony Horne at the time.
Yeah,
and I always remember when Mark McGee promised Willie Guerrett a stint in goal, and he told Tony about this because we kind of knew them at the time, and he said he'll give him 10 games towards the end of the season. In those 10 games, I'm pretty sure Willie Guerrett either didn't let any goals in or maybe let one goal in. And Tony Horne, Denzel, will shit himself thinking, getting close to the end of the 10 games here, I'm actually going to get back into the team here or not. But true to Mark McGee's word, he did put Tony Horne back in after the 10 games. But Willie Guerrett, great keeper and great lad as well.
One other one, Graham Stack.
Yes.
He was a good keeper.
He was.
Graham
He was.
Stack. We missed him off.
Was he a
Yeah,
loan
he was
player
a-
as well, though, wasn't he? I think. Was he alone?
From
Graham Stack?
Arsenal already.
26 appearances he made in the 04-05 season. He must have been alone because he didn't. Yeah, because he
I think
wasn't in his 5 or
it was
6.
Arsenal
Yeah.
or Reading. It was one of them.
Yeah.
Or he went to Reading
He
afterwards or
he
something.
was definitely at Arsenal, weren't he? I think.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, because he come when he was 23. Yeah,
Yeah.
not bad at all.
That's interesting. But some good shouts and some good names there, though.
So, I think we can probably fill Ray Goddard. Good evening, Stephen.
Evening.
No, not you, mate. We're Stephen Pearson.
We've done that.
Good evening, Stephen. Ray Goddard. I think keepers, pretty much, we're okay with. As in, I reckon we can probably get 10 keepers, realistically. So let's have a look. We go Tony Warner, Bryan King, Alex Stepney, David Ford.
Bart.
Who?
Bart.
Bart. There's 5. Brian Horne, Kassey Keller.
We should be writing this down, really, shouldn't we? Because we might repeat.
I'm going to make a
about
note of him in
Mike
2
Taylor?
seconds.
Keith
Malik
Brannigan.
Taylor, Keith Brannigan,
Have you
Might
got
say that.
Denzel? Did you say
Yeah.
Denzel?
I think we said that. I think.
and Willie. There we go.
Yeah.
That's
That's
10.
decent. It's a good lineup.
Right. So let's list these down so that I don't think. So we're going to go with Bryan King, Alex Stepney,
Kassey Keller,
Kassey, yep,
Brian Horne,
Brian Horne,
David Ford,
Fordy,
Bart,
yeah,
uh,
Willie,
yeah,
Mike Taylor.
Mike Taylor, yeah.
Do we say Keith Brannigan
hang on.
Brannigan.
and Andy Marshall? We going to
yeah.
do Andy Marshall as well?
No, we didn't do it. Malik Taylor,
No, we didn't include Marshall. Did we?
Malik Taylor, Denzel.
How many have you got, mate?
3, 6. There's 8. I've got 8 so far. Who else did you say?
Marshall.
I've got
Brian
Alex
Horne,
Stepney, Kassey Keller, Brian Horne, David Ford, Bart, Willie, Malik, Denzel,
Andy Marshall.
Andy Marshall.
Tony
Is that
Warner.
fine with Andy Marshall, is it?
I've got Denzel.
Was it? Did you say
2,
Brannigan?
4, 6,
Keith Brannigan, yeah.
9. And Keith Brannigan makes the last
that's
one.
10 then.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Right, so that's our keepers then. Our keepers going forward are Alex Stepney, Kassey Keller, Brian Horne, David Ford, Bart, Willie, Malik, Denzel, Andy Marshall, and Keith Brannigan.
Okay.
Okay? They're done. Keepers are done. I thought they'd be easy. Now, this one's going to be harder, and I want to get to a list of about 10. I reckon we might have to go 15 with this, possibly. Defenders. The first defender I will put in there has to be Terry Hurlock. Or Barry Kitchener, Terry Hurlock.
Hurlock's was a midfielder, wasn't he? So Kitchener would have been
Kitchener, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely would have
Stevens,
Kitchener.
Rhino.
Yeah,
Definitely Rhino.
in there.
Darren
Robbo.
Ward.
Robbo.
Darren Ward's
D.
good one.
Yeah.
Paul Robinson.
Hutchinson.
Yeah.
Hutchie.
Hutchison. Do you go for? I mean, I'm quite fond of McCleary of that era, the late 80s.
Yeah.
McCleary was a good player.
Yeah,
Played a lot of games
yeah.
for us, as well, didn't he?
Ben Thatcher.
Ben Thatcher,
Definitely,
my favourite defenders. Yeah.
And Kevin Muscat is another one that I think we'd have to put in
Kevin
there. 'Cause
Muscat.
more so the fact that if you come up against Kevin Muscat on a 5-side pitch, you're not making it.
I know. I was just saying, Stuart Nethercott probably won't be much use, would he? All he was good for was winning headers, really, most of the time, really. But
Sean Dyche.
Sean Dyche?
Yeah.
Sean Dyche.
Oh, yeah, that's a
Dicey.
good call.
Tony Craig.
Yeah.
Craig, I love a bit of Tony Craig. Beavers.
Oh yeah, Mark Beavers.
Yeah.
He was quality. One I said before.
I have to say he was decent, Mark Beavers, and Joe quite comfortable on the ball and all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One I said to me.
I quite liked Pat Van Den Houw was a good player for us as well at the time. Kenny Cunningham, I think, was a great player. I think one of our best fullbacks ever played for Millwall was Ian Dawes. Good player.
Alan Dunn.
Yeah.
Carlos Edwards.
Alan Dunn, you've got to put him in the mix as well.
I'm trying to find.
I thought he
Carlos Edwards
was
was a good fullback for us.
I'm trying to find a list. Have you got a list?
Let me have a look. Hold on.
Danny Sender. Right
If you've got, if you find a good list, put it in the private chat, and then I'll put it out on the group so everyone can look at it.
Danny Schlitt in there as well.
Yeah.
So we've got Stephen's come back in with Ian Dawes. So has Tony.
Yeah, well done.
Tony Hazel. Colin Cooper.
Great shout. Well done, Tony.
That's a great shout, that is, yeah. So the problem is, it's trying to find a decent list of all of them.
Yeah, Joe, that's actually quite odd because they seem to give you an alphabetical list.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll tell you another one I wouldn't want to come up against on a five-a-side pitch was Andy Frampton.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. He reminds me a lot of Murray Wallace.
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Yeah, a centre half who could play fullback. You know, very committed, not technically gifted, but did really well for us, didn't he?
Mr. Reliables.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know if it classes as defender because we pushed him into midfield, but Tam Makandawiri would be one.
You're right. Originally, I think he was supposed to be a defender, weren't he? I think he played. I think it's his first game played for us at centre back, and afterwards he played midfield, didn't he? So I probably wouldn't want to include him.
He played midfield to let Trotter roam forward. That's why they kind of got him out of the defence. But initially, he was signed as a centre back, a bit like Sean Williams. Sean Williams is a centre half, but put into midfield.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
So let me just try and find a list of defenders.
I've got a list of former players, but it's just not. It's going to add every bloody player in it. But
I think we can freestyle it, Nicky. I'm sure we've got enough names there to play with, haven't we?
Phil Babb.
Yeah, he only played a few games early in his career. I don't think. I mean, a great player. Obviously, went on to bigger and better things with Ireland and Liverpool, of course, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
But for us, I mean, he was good. I guess you could say he was good for us, yeah.
I had a thingy of players. 2 seconds, and I'll find it.
But Tony Witter. Any shouts from the live audience on Tony Witter? Can I get a yes or a no for Tony Witter? Anyone remember?
I'll tell you a name. What you called it? Who was in the all-time? Let's just come to some of the comments. So we've got Chris Cripps,
Harry Cripps, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Robbo,
yeah.
Alan McCleary,
yeah.
Andy Roberts. Andy Roberts was a bit of a.
He was a midfielder, Andy Roberts, unfortunately.
But what about the players who played when we were doing the all-time five-a-side when we played in the at Wembley in the in the 80s, I think that was. There was
it?
Andy Massa, Paul Sampson, Teddy Sheringham, John Neal, Alan McCleary. Where else was there? With Bobby Robson, there was Roger Winter.
He was quality, wasn't he?
Yeah. There was Roger Winter thingy. So we've got Nicky Johns. Yeah, Nicky Johns was in the team. You see, look at that. In the 78 team, what won? There was John Seasman, Tony Hazel, Chris Dibble, Nicky Johns, Dave Donaldson, and Phil Walker. And the 79 team was Phil Walker, Brian Chambers, Dave Donaldson, Nicky Chatterton, Tony Kinsella, Pat Cuff, and Jocelyn Stevens.
Good. So we won it in 79, didn't we? That competition, I think. And then
I can think of two more we potentially missed. Lucas Neal.
Yeah, I mean, he played for us more as a winger than a fullback. I think he converted as a fullback.
Plus, I feel hated him.
And also,
allegedly.
I can't tell I thought that he wouldn't be happy with that one, including him into the team, would he, Mickey?
No, not at all.
And then the mighty Richard Shaw.
Richard Shaw, good.
Yeah, Richard Shaw.
The
thing is though, with this is that the problem it becomes is that people are picking their maybe favourites or players that are considered our better defenders. If you're picking a five-a-side team, should we be looking at players that would fit to play five-a-side, or are we picking players that are just the legends? Because someone like Mark Beavers, who is really good on the ball, isn't going to be
five-a-side. But if it worse than Jake Cooper, wouldn't he?
But then you've got he was good on the ball on a leveler side, but for five-a-side he'd be terrible. But Danny Shittu, who you might think, he doesn't move about, but on a five-a-side pitch he's going to be really hard to beat.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't
get past him.
I don't think we should be looking at legends for these teams. I don't necessarily think this isn't a legends team. This is basically, in my eyes, a five-a-side team who would go on to win it. Do you know what I mean?
So we need players that are technically gifted, that are not so big, quite small, low sense of gravity on the ball, good touch.
I think one centre half in my lifetime who I think fits a five-a-side is Darren Ward. I do like
Darren Ward.
He's too big, and he's 6'4", 6'5".
Who is that? What about that fella you mentioned before we come on air, Stephen?
Oh, Carlos Edwards.
No, the other one.
But he's not a defender.
No, I know that, but he's definitely one who I think your five-a-side pretext.
Diego Fabrini. If you're picking a five-a-side team, he had every skill, close control under the sun. Yeah. On a five-a-side team, he'd absolutely tear it up.
Yeah, I reckon so. I think even someone like Sean Williams would do good on the five-a-side pitch. He was very neat and tidy, great left foot. Yeah, he could pass that ball about.
Another one, I did mention it earlier. I think we were talking. Actually. Scott Barron. Scott Barron, who played at left back, was technically a good footballer.
Yeah, I think Ian Dawes would be for a five-a-side team. I think Ian Dawes would be a good one. I think Rhino, technically, he was never that gifted. Very committed, weren't he, Keith Stevens, and loved the tackle and all that. But technically, I think he'll get found out on a five-side pitch. You need someone who's going to get around the pitch, be good on the ball, comfortable, good touch.
Definitely not Ben Thompson, though.
Definitely not, no. Well, saying that, he had a low sense of gravity, didn't he? He wasn't too bad with the ball on his feet. He just didn't do much with it, did he, unfortunately, at times, when that's down with us.
I think this is where I think five-a-side, the players, it'd be interesting to see what sort of players actually enjoy five-a-sides. Because there's certain players, you just look at them and you think, no, they're good footballers.
I reckon... I mean, we'll probably get to them later, but you're looking at players like Stephen Reid will be good at five-a-side. I reckon he'll shoot from wherever and
very good.
He'll enjoy
Paul Eifel's another one.
Yeah,
people like you had people like Dave Martin.
Players Mark
like
Kennedy.
Mark Kennedy. Yeah.
Now, Mark Kennedy would be a good call.
I'll go for Ben. I reckon Ben Thatcher would be a good one.
Yeah.
So I think he technically was a very good player. Great left foot. Yeah, not too tall, so the ball be at his feet quite a bit. I think he'll definitely be good left-footed. So you can have him on the left, wherever on the right, maybe.
I think
there was one more that come to mind from me was Danny Schofield.
Danny Schofield, yeah. So he was a very good, technically gifted winger, wasn't he? He used to kind of cut in as an inside.
Yeah, very, very good.
I often think Danny Schofield is a better version of what George Honeyman is for us at the moment.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah,
that's a good call, I suppose. I see what you're saying there, but
I think with defenders, it's I think fullbacks are the players that we might need to focus on because they tend to be a little bit better on the ball.
Yeah, you're right.
That's a little bit more up and down. And
exactly
players like that for a five-a-side team. I think Ben Thatcher's a really good shout. That's a really good one.
You need someone on the right-hand side to partner, don't you? Really?
Well, the two from my era of watching Millwall, I would say Danny Sender was pretty good. Carlos Edwards was pretty good. I'd even go as far as to say I think Alan Dunn, because he's a little bit of a utility player. He's someone that can fit in, but I think it's hard because our centre halves tend to be tough tackling, big, strong, and that it doesn't really fit.
No, I don't recall us ever having a cultured centre half who's like a ball playing centre half. We never really had that, have we? We've always had guys that are quite limited in their ability, but they get stuck in, win headers, win tackles, and that suited us. A no nonsense defender.
That's someone like Byron Webster as well.
He weren't too bad, was he? You know,
he turned his career around with us massively, didn't he?
Yeah, he was very consistent when he towards the end of that promotion season.
But going back to your point there, Steve, I agree with you. I think if we're going to do this, we're going for two at the back. You've got to pick a left back and a right back, I think, and that will probably give us that technical ability on the ball. A centre half, I don't think will quite do it for us, will they?
No, and I guess it depends as well. I know formation's a bit different on five-a-side, but it depends if you want to go. If you're going to go two at the back, you could potentially go with players that maybe were a little less technically gifted because they've got someone to partner them. If you're going to maybe have two in midfield and you've only got one real defensive player, you need someone that technically was pretty good.
Yeah, they can carry the ball a little bit as well.
Barry's made a good call there.
He was a good signing for us, Ian Bogie at the time.
Dave Martin and now Scaffolder. Barry's given us his five-a-side. Oh, where are we? No, that one there, look.
Ray Harris.
Who would be?
That's not a bad side. That's not a bad
team. Barry, who would be your three substitutes?
Yes, one.
So yeah, I mean, listen. All right. I mean, realistically, with a five-a-side, you're going to have one keeper, two in defence as such, and two up front in you. But you're going to need one of those defence what can play a bit as well, or both of them what can play a bit and go up there. I mean, I'm happy to go right and left backs if you want to bring them in, and then look at obviously the top ones going forward. But I just listen. If we have to put 20 in there, then we'll go with a list of 20. I just want to get to a list, and then we can go forward. We've got 10 keepers. They are probably the ones who you'd want to put in there. I mean, realistically, you could probably put Jordan Archer in there as much as I take the piss out of him. But he weren't a bad, lanky, when he was on form, he could stop a ball. And that's what you want, don't you? Someone who's quick and agile in goal for five-a-side.
Just don't let him catch any crosses.
I think for five-a-side, Bryan Horne would be a great keeper. He's short, he's stocky.
Good evening, Martin. Yeah.
You don't necessarily need him sort of like, catching crosses, do you? Or making weird sort of saves. I mean, you need a shot stop. You need someone to kind of fill the goal, don't you, really?
I think
so what you're saying is just Bryan Horne's fat?
Part of it,
is that what you're saying?
He probably admits it himself, doesn't he, to be fair? And he was quite fat at the time as well.
We'll come to that. We'll come to that later on, Chris. Don't panic, mate. So, that's a bit easier to choose from. There ain't that many. Yeah. Good managers. Do you know what I mean? We've got plenty of shit. Do you know what I mean? Ian Holloway won't be there. Fucking Steve Lomas won't be there. I'll tell you what, the other day, I'd done I did say to Stephen that I won't say it, but I will say it on here. There's a lot because there's a video going to be coming out for it. But I done there's a new AI what everyone's talking about at the moment of how good it is, and it is good. I asked it to pick an all-time Millwall five-a-side with three substitutes.
Before you say that, one of the players that you're going to say, I think possibly one of the players Joe's going to go, oh yeah, straight away for a five-a-side. I guarantee it.
Yeah. Because
I did.
Yeah. You ready? Tony Warner, Tony Craig, Mark Phillips, Tim Cahill, Neil Harris, and the three substitutes it chose was Steve Morrison, Paul Robinson, and Jimmy Abdu.
Jimmy Abdu would be a great one.
He'd be very good. He'd be very good, Jimmy Abdu.
And Mark Phillips.
Mark Phillips was so good. He was so good.
Technically, he was a decent player. What about Joe Dolan? I think Joe Dolan was a decent ball-playing defender as well.
Yeah.
I like to see...
And he still plays five-a-side now.
Yeah, well, he actually plays 11-side. He actually plays up front now as a striker for his Vets team in Oz, doesn't he? Which is a bit weird.
We could probably arrange to get them on the show at some point and give us their all five, but yeah. I just think there's, the midfield and attack is fairly easy, to be fair.
I think so.
I even asked the it to give me an 11-side team as well, and it gave me an all-time 11-a-side team as well, which is quite fine.
How is it picked? Is it by just caps and goals, or do you know?
No. It just basically it's got everything's in its brain until there's nothing from 2021 onwards at the moment, but it'll be learned, and it just I don't know how, but it just learns lots and lots of information, and it just picks out. I mean, I did a team, an 11-a-side. I don't know if it's on my phone. I was going to say
it's a 5-a-side team. You want to get Fleming in there, wouldn't you? Zion Fleming, I reckon. He'd be good.
Yeah, but would he be? Well, he would. Yeah.
See, you say that the midfield and the attack's easy. I think that's the hardest part.
Because there's too many to pick from, you mean? Or
yeah, I think so. Because if you look at, for example, midfielders, you've got Stephen Reid, Paul Ifill. There's people before those, but you've got those two, Fleming, someone like Diego Fabrini, Sean Williams, who's technically a really good midfielder.
Yeah,
Tim Cahill,
Jed Wallace. We were talking
Wallace
before
on
the
the 5
show.
side, which would be good, weren't they? To be fair,
When we had Ryan Smith on the left-hand side years ago, Dave Martin. I think the attack and the midfield, and
Mark
that's
Kennedy.
why. Mark Kennedy. I mean,
I think in the 5-side pitch, you need someone up front to score goals. I mean, the obvious one you could say would be Neil Harris, but what about Lee Gregory?
I was just going to mention Lee Gregory.
In the 5-side team, Lee Gregory up front. Yeah, he'll be scoring goals, wouldn't he?
I think he's quality.
Aidan O'Brien would.
Five-a-side pitch.
Yeah, I think he'd be quality on a 5-a-side as well. I mean, here's a shout. Good evening, Millwall Nutter. Hope you're doing well, fella. Now, this is a shout from Tony for 5-a-side. Someone who we haven't even thought of, to be fair.
Christoph Jeanette. Oh, my God. Well done, Tony.
Yeah,
very. You know what I mean? That's a fucking good shout. The problem is,
as well.
The thing is, with doing it live like we're doing, there's so many players who would fit into a 5-a-side team who, for whatever reason, we're probably got knowledge from the 80s, probably late 70s, 80s upwards, all the way through. I mean, I was from the 2000s and all that, and we'd be there. But having people on who are watching live and they're getting involved with some of their shouts, so some of the older generation, because I reckon there's probably players from, the early 70s to 60s. Some of them back then were fucking animals.
The thing is, if you go back to Steve Morrison,
definitely.
If you go back to the
Lee Gregory,
if you go back to the competition in 1983 that Millwall won, their best player, who I don't think he had much of a career at Millwall, he's a very young sort of player, but he was a 17-year-old at the time, and he went on to score a few goals for us and scored quite a couple in the final. His name was Roger Winter. He was 17 years of age. He was the best player in the tournament. He was voted by Bobby Robson at the time, who was there, voted him the best player in the tournament. And he was unbelievable. He was scoring goals. He was fast. He was pacing, dribbling.
Didn't his life turn around a little bit and went the wrong way?
The rumour goes round to say that he had a bit of a tough upbringing.
Allegedly, the rumour. Just so Joe don't get sued, this is his life.
No.
Allegedly. Anyway, very, very important, allegedly.
He's disappeared in the last 30 years. No one knows where he is anyway. He's probably dead, I don't know. But he
dead people have good lawyers, mate. Well, dead people you can libel, but live people you can't.
I know.
It's Lord Lupin II.
Allegedly, he was outed out by the club because he was caught sort of thieving, taking stuff off his teammates, like nicking money off them and all this sort of stuff. And they basically just wanted a shot of him, get rid of him. He had a real bad upbringing. And then he went off the rails a little bit. I think he went to America. I'm not sure if he played in football in America, but that was it. No one ever heard of him since. He just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. But he was
a great player. What about this player?
Yeah.
Oh.
My dad's just texted me and said just put the 1983 winning side.
You see, I was thinking that because that pretty much. I mean, that team was they won. They beat everyone that season, didn't they?
Who was Barry Bridges? Alex,
Barry Bridges. No.
One of the guys just then brought up. The name rings a bell, but I don't remember.
Let me have a look. Barry Bridges. Let's have a look.
60s, 70s, isn't he?
Barry Bridges, 1970 to 72.
Right. Okay. This would have been a good sort of time for Mill, wasn't it? Good players in those early 70s.
I don't have any stats for him at the minute, but 1970 to 1972, he made 77 appearances and scored 27 goals.
That's not bad.
It's not bad at all, is it?
That's not a bad record, actually. He's 81 now.
What about is it Posse from Millwall?
Yeah.
He scored goals for fun, didn't he? Technically a very, very good player. Everyone said that he was probably too good for us at the time. A young player, weren't he?
Who was the
I know. He got 79 goals in 223 appearances.
Wow.
We got some players here now.
67, 73.
That's cool. Chris Armstrong, Jamie Morley. That's a great shout, Barry.
Who was the fella that we had? And I think it's from the 80s, Joe. You might. He was a fullback.
That must have been. So say again, Stephen. Sorry, mate.
He was a fullback converted to a striker and scored a load of goals for us.
Yes, his name was Greg Berry. I think his name was.
I can't think of his name.
Is it Greg Berry? Can you Google that?
That's not the name that I was thinking of. And
there was one I remember thinking, but I don't remember him playing for Millwall. But there was one that was.
Did he score a goal against Everton in a cup game? Didn't he? He was a fullback. He played as an emergency striker.
What's his name?
No, it wasn't an
I'm
emergency.
sure it was Greg Berry. Does that come up with anyone? Greg Berry? I don't know why I'm thinking his name. Greg Berry.
Greg Berry, footballer. Here we go. Hold on a minute. Yeah, 34 goals. 34 appearances, scored one goal between 1994 and 1997.
No, it's not. It's a player that was converted from a fullback to a striker, and he scored. He ended up scoring quite a few goals for us.
Really?
Right. Well, it ain't in there.
I don't recall. I need
to talk to my dad.
The only one I can think of was there's this guy called Greg Berry, and we had no strikers. I think he was an emergency striker. They actually played him up front, and he ended up scoring an important goal in the cup. And he might have scored. I'm sure it was against Everton. I'm pretty sure it was.
Going back to fullbacks that could play on a five-a-side pitch. I tell you, in our current team at the moment, I reckon Scott Malone could do a good job in a five-a-side team.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah, decent left foot.
What about Danny McNamara?
Yeah, up and down.
He's again low sense of gravity. I do like his control on the ball. He's very quick, very good at turning, and his movement's good. Good touch.
So Tony there's come up with Alan Dorney.
Alan Dorney.
Alan Dorney.
Don't know what area that's from.
No, I'm going to have a look. Alan Dorney.
Maybe not Jake.
Central defender. Well, do you know, he was a central defender. He made 252 appearances between 1968 and 1977.
Wow.
In that time, he scored one goal.
Wow.
Sorry about that. My internet decided to...
So that's quite an interesting one there, really.
Yeah. Never heard of before, but it sounds like...
I'd never heard of him before.
Great shout. So Andy May was a really good signing for us. Again, short, stocky guy, technically very, very good on the ball. I think Mick McCarthy might have signed him, actually. His manager. Eamon Dunphy, I don't know.
Eamon Dunphy.
I recognise the name.
Right, There we go. Eamon Dempher, yeah, he's the one for the picture in the 70s with his cock out.
Really?
There's a famous team picture, and he had his old man fucking hanging out his shorts, mate, in the club photo. So
what we'll do is we won't have him in the 5-side team. We'll have him for the after party. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. Now this is a good shout, and we haven't mentioned him yet. Definitely for 5-a-side.
What beard? Yeah, great shout.
I remember interviewing Mark not that long ago, and he
Alex. It was 2-0 win at Nottingham Forest, and Berry scored. Greg Berry. That's what Barry was saying. You know, when you looked at Greg Berry.
Well, Greg Berry in that he'd only score. It could be because he scored one goal. I mean, it might have been him. One goal, yeah, possibly. Now that's an interesting one. It was Mark Beard, yeah. He even still has got that ability, I think, still to be able to do it. You know, he's someone who I mean, I saw him. What was it? A couple of years ago.
They played at the Wonderwall Cup, and he'd come on for about 10 minutes and then fucking tore his hamstring. Yeah.
No. I wonder, Stephen, could Mark Beard have been the player that your dad's thinking of? Because I think he might have been a fullback and convert to a striker.
I'm going to have to
text him now.
Are you looking for? What are you looking for?
Right. There's a player.
We're trying to figure
out the 80s. It's in the 80s. He was a fullback, converted to a striker, and he scored a load of goals for us.
Maybe the listening audience, Mickey, might be able to tell us who this player is. If they've got any idea who it might be.
I'm going to have a Google and see if I can find anyone.
Dad, I think he's watching because he's texting me as he's coming up on the top of my screen.
Hello, Stephen's dad. Stephen's dad. If you want to come on, Stephen's got a link. He can send you the link, and you can come on, mate. It's not a problem at all.
You need to come on and say Stephen's blushes, Stephen.
And if anyone going forward, if you don't necessarily want to get involved in the chat and you fancy coming on the show and giving us your 5 minutes worth, coming in and out, just drop us a text. If you know one of us on here, even better, because then you can just DM us or we can text you it. But yeah, we can give you. I'm not going to post the show link onto the chat group because we'll be inundated and it'll be. I don't know. I might do it one week though, just for the crack. If you want me to 1 week just to put the show invite. Because I don't have to let you straight into the room. I can pick you up because it'll have your name on. But if you want us to do 1 week where you can come on screen and have a chat, then just reply in the comments with, why not? Yeah, I'll be up for that. And let us know. Absolutely, Barry. It is. But hey ho, we are the only show what fucking, records live, gets you guys involved. We don't just do a debate show and ignore half the comments. We get all your comments on. And if there is anyone who wants to come in, just let us know. We can figure it out. There's another player for you.
Anton
Logan. Oh.
Good player. What about Peter Sweeney?
What about Paul Moody?
And I think
we didn't think of Paul Moody, did we?
Danny
Maloney would have been good, wouldn't he? He's a good...
Danny Dicchio. Danny fucking Shitu is on your shirt.
He did say earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Danny Dicchio.
I don't think he'd be good enough, though. I think he's too slow, too big. We need someone who's quite nimble and kind of agile, don't we, really?
Yeah, but to be fair, he'd be the perfect one to leave at the back.
We can stick him in
because no one's getting past him.
Him and Taylor Fletcher. Him and Taylor Fletcher, there we go. That's it. Job done, innit?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Now, Barry has come up. Barry's coming up with all the players here. Barry has just come up with another player who we have not thought of.
Go on.
Andy
Keogh.
Yeah.
He was a real good player.
Weren't he?
Really good. Keogh and Kane up front were the two, weren't they?
Harry Kane, we didn't think of Harry Kane. Do you know, there's one that...
Alex Ray would definitely make it,
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
Les Briley as well, I think would be quite a good one to have in there.
Yeah, Les Briley as well, yeah.
Jimmy Carter.
I'm thinking of another one.
Jimmy Carter, yeah, definitely.
Jimmy Carter would be a good player.
This is what the problem is. To cut down the list into who you'd have, because we could quite happily now go 15 names between us four, right? And I guarantee you, as soon as we go, that's it, that's the 15, all the bods watching will come up with half a dozen or more other names who we've gone, oh shit, yeah. Because not one of us thought of Andy Keown or you know, a few of the other players, Kinu and people like that who we haven't thought of. And you're like, shit.
Yeah. I'll tell you another
So
one.
I'm going to throw one in there. Darius Henderson.
Fucking the Hulk.
And another one, James Henry.
James Henry
was a very good player.
James Henry.
He's still playing now, isn't he?
He's
at Oxford.
He's at Oxford, isn't he?
Yeah, James Henry with the police dog.
As much
Alan Dunn threw him in front of the police dog.
Yeah,
as much as I wouldn't want to put him in the team, but I think you have to think about him as Jed Wallace on a 5-side pitch.
Yeah,
maybe. Chris Brown's come up with a wicked suggestion.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to. We have 4 keepers.
We've already had them.
Go for Bruno.
We will be bringing back the normal show, David. It's just that we've had no fucking football because of the mastery of dark arts by Luton, who unfortunately in the same shoes as Blackburn, who can't shovel a fucking pitch with snow, and also allegedly have a lot of people out injured at the moment. Luckily enough,
I've got an exclusive one for you here, Mickey. Right?
Got their game called off.
I saw Luke Freeman today.
All right, how's he doing?
Because he lives just down the road from me.
You do remember this is live, yeah, Alex?
Yeah. No. I saw him, and he was saying that like they've barely been able to train Luton because not only has the pitch at Kenilworth been awful, but their training pitch has been absolutely like an absolute disaster. They've barely trained because of the weather.
Yeah,
they really.
Cheers, Barry.
Because of they've really been struggling because of all the types of weather and everything.
Barry's off, lads. Merry Christmas, Barry. Happy New Year to you. This will be available to rewatch, and also it'll be out as a pod tomorrow. So, no dramas. Let's try and bring back some law of order to the show. We've got to look at trying to get ourselves a list of defenders.
I think if the best way to do it, I reckon, is if we sort of say, right, so pick your 2, and try and narrow it down a little bit. See if someone picks the same 2, or then get.
I think. Oh fucking hell, Chris! Another player.
Ronnie Ball. Oh. I was thinking Robbie Ryan as well, but I think Ronnie Ball would edge it on a 5-side pitch. Again, a bit smaller, quick, nimble, technically a very good player.
Yeah. I mean, there is some.
Should we all pick 2 defenders each to see if there's any correlation there?
Well, Tony started.
Scott Taylor and Dave Savage. Oh, right. So I think what Tony's saying is Scott Taylor, could he be in the defender you're thinking of, Stephen? Maybe he was a striker.
No, do you know what? I'm giving up. I'm giving up this. I don't know.
Dave Savage was a good player as well. He played right midfield for us. Tony Craig.
We mentioned Tony Craig a couple of times now, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, my defenders would be
2. 2 defenders.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're doing. If you're going for legends, then you'll probably have to go Cripps. Oh, Tony's just said, yeah, that's him.
Who's that? Tony, as in
that's that defender,
Scott Taylor.
It's got Scott Taylor and Dave Savage.
Yeah.
And he said, that's him. So
Tony's not your dad, is he, Stephen?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, if you were going for legends, all-time, stuff like that, then you'd have to definitely put Harry Cripps in there. But
Cripps and
for a 5-a-side with something about him, I would probably go for Paul Robinson and Tony Craig.
That's good.
That's not a bad shout, actually.
I'm going to go for, and I'm just thinking purely because it's 5-a-side, you need someone who's quick, nimble, low sense of gravity. I will go for Ben Thatcher and Danny McNamara.
Just before one of you two come in, Chris, that's a fucking good call. And yeah, we'll get something put on the website over the next couple of days. I'll speak to Alex and Kai, and we'll get a Google form put together with all the defenders on, and then we'll put people into the website, and then you can pick your 10 defenders or whatever, and then we're basically through everyone picking them, and then we can eliminate the 10 players or the 15 players what are categorised, and then we'll go from them. So yeah, keep in touch, Chris, and we're thinking. Night, Chris. Scott Taylor scored 2 goals. Got 2 goals against Everton.
Right.
Chris has come in with his 2 players.
Goalkeeper. Stephen Hutchinson. Yeah, I like that. I mean, again, they're out and out defenders, though. I mean, what we're thinking, 5-a-side pitch, you need to be comfortable on the ball and play a part in the game, in the process. I think if you're looking for 2 centre halves, level side pitch, I think those 2 are quality, Rhino and Hutchinson. But again, 5-a-side.
Rhino.
I think for me, the two 5-a-side. If you're looking for purely 5-a-side players, I reckon Scott Malone and Carlos Edwards, and they can both play.
Sorry, one sec, Chris. I misread your fucking message, mate. You said we're going to be here all night. Yeah, no, I fucking agree with you there. But I read that as in I'm going now at night, and I do apologise for that one. So yeah. It's it was only that comment where I suddenly realised that actually I misread his comment there. So so yeah, I think that's the easiest way. Finish your 2 players, and then I'll say what I want to say in a sec. Steve, go on.
Yeah, ball playing defenders, Scott Malone and Carlos Edwards, I think would be really good in 5-a-side pitches.
How about you, Alex?
Yeah. Do you know, it's tough. I'm going to go with Mark Beavers.
Good call.
And I'm going to go with Beavers, and I'm going to go with Danny Mack. I think are the 2 I'd have.
Yeah.
Beavers very, very confident on the ball, and I like the way he moved. I like the way he passed the ball. He was quite comfortable with the ball.
I'm just picturing a Gerrard sort of 5-a-side pitch, and I just don't know if that's going to do it for me. Danny Mack, I get completely. Beavers, I just think his main attributes was his aerial ability, wasn't it?
Who was Mark Beavers' mate? The guy we signed,
Malone, wasn't it?
No, the ginger guy. Who was his mate? The really good. Chrissy Taylor.
Chris
Taylor, yeah. Chris Taylor was very good.
He'd be another good 5-a-side player.
But I think what we're going to do is Alex, me and you and Kai will find a definitive list. And there is one, but I can't get onto Millwall history website at the moment because he's got an Excel spreadsheet of all the players over all the time, and you can put them into defence and goals and everything else. And then we'll put all the positions. We'll make a Google spreadsheet up where you can pick, your defenders, your attack, and all of that. We'll put it on the website for a week or so, and then we can get a definitive list. So when we come back to do the attack and midfield, we can run through a list what we've got and start putting them out to social media. Then once we've got a list, and then just slowly pick them down, because we've got 10, 15 players. Because we're probably sitting here now. There's probably 20 players that we're going, yeah, maybe, and we've got to then look at bringing it right the way down. And the amount of and ahhing and everything else we're doing at the moment over trying to get 15, where you suddenly go, oh, what about that one? Oh, yeah, what about that one? At least that way it'll be a lot easier, because we can just go, right, these are the 10 players. Who do you want to keep? And then we can all pick 2, and then if they're different, then you can start. See you later, Joe.
He's gone.
And I think that would probably be the easiest. He'll be back in a minute. I think that would probably be the easiest bit. So, yeah, good to know that. I think if you're watching, when I disappeared, did this lot carry on working, or did everyone disappear and then come back? So let me know if we disappeared. But
I mean, we were still
talking and everything.
Yeah, I think it was probably still. Yeah, I think because it's recorded locally now, it will carry on going. So yeah. Oh, you all right there, Joe?
Oh yeah, I thought you cut me off there.
Oh,
no, you cut yourself off, fella. So yeah. Oh, they carried on. That's all right. Cheers, Chris. And I think that's probably the best option. But if you had to, you've got you've got 2 players who you will pick, who doesn't matter what position they play, who has to be in a 5-a-side team. Who would they be, Joe?
I'll go for any position, but they have to be in that 5-a-side pick. I will go for Zian Fleming and Jed Wallace.
Ooh.
Wow, that stitched you up. I would go Tony Warner and who's a little beast. I would go Tony Warner and Alex Ray.
Alex Ray's a good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
Same question to you guys listening. 2 players who you would absolutely put in your own 5-a-side team, regardless of the position, regardless of where they play. But 2 players that, if you were writing a list of 5-a-side, those 2 players would have to be in that team.
Any era.
For me,
any era you want. Yeah,
I'd go Neil Harris and Jimmy Abdu.
Yeah, that's a great shout as well.
That is a really good call. I think the 2, I'd go Tim Cahill and Neil Harris, I think.
Yeah.
And out of those 8...
That's the 2.
Oh, well, Chris has just come up with a good one.
Fleming and Sheringham,
yeah.
It would be really interesting to have if we can do this, if you're picking your striker, I think most people are going to go Sheringham or Harris. They're the 2 that I think most. You might get Morrison and other players.
You know what's interesting, Stephen, there as well, is that Sheringham one. Who mentioned Sheringham there in the last message there, Nicky?
Chris Brown,
if you've watched on YouTube the 1983 final, 5-a-side final tournament...
I posted the link in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, have a click on that link. Sheringham plays in this final, and he's only a youngster at the time, he's like 18 or 19 years of age. But he wasn't really that effective. And this young lad, Roger Winter, I was telling you about, who you see on the video, was absolute quality that final. And Sheringham doesn't look that great at all. So,
Although, as I was just going to say, if we could get a definitive, if you had to pick one striker, if we could put a vote out on social media,
we can do whatever you want.
Harris or Sheringham, which way would the supporters go? I'd be really interested
I'll
to
go
see
for
that.
Harris. I don't know what everyone else would think, but I would choose Harris.
I'd go Harris, I think, over Sheringham.
I think Sheringham's a decent 11-a-side player, but I think Harris would be quality on the 5-a-side pitch.
What is in striker of all time or for a 5-a-side?
No, for a 5.
If you had
one striker and you had to pick between Harris and Sheringham, which way the supporters would go? Different eras, different. One played for us late 80s, early 90s. One was late 90s, early 2000s, and obviously Harris come back. But both of them were goal scorers. They just were goal scorers. So if you had to pick one, I mean, if you could somehow sort of find a way of being able to create a partnership of Sheringham and Harris, would it work? Would it work with them together? Would one of them want to be the main man, or either or? Like, or would you have to pick one?
In a fantasy sort of partnership to see how they would play together.
Yeah. Would they both want to be the main man? Because they were in their.
I think they'll complement each other quite well, because Sheringham will be the target man. Harris, back in his earlier career, used to run the channels really, really well. He was very mobile and quite quick as well. I think they'll complement each other very, very well. Yeah.
See, now this is one though. Would you have Harris and Sheringham, or Gregory and Morrison?
Oh, another great shout.
Because you think if you played Sheringham and Harris together, you'd have Sheringham would do your Steve Morrison role, Harris would do your Gregory role. So,
are we still talking about 5-a-side here? Or are we talking 11-a-side?
It'd be hard to I think
if it's
I mean, I don't
five-a-side,
think you could have two strikers. I don't think you could have two strikers in a five-a-side team. I think you'd have to have two in 11-a-side. But yeah, I mean, I'd be intrigued to see how that one would go, or which partnership people would favour.
Well, what you could do is you have. This is quite a good, interesting poll here, right?
There is a post. There is a post already up now on YouTube. Who would you pick, Sheringham or Harris?
And also, we could have another one here, which is quite an interesting one. Who's the best partnership at Millwall? Is it Cascarino and Sheringham? Is it Neil Harris and Sadlier? Or is it Lee Gregory and Steve Morrison?
I think.
Yeah, but I think you'd have to go more because there's more partnerships over the years.
They are the most iconic in the last sort of like 30 years.
And also, they're probably the three that were together the longest.
I think people.
If you think about it, I think that I think that's a partnership that were together.
Yeah,
the longest amount of time.
A substantial amount of time over a good few seasons.
I think people would go Cascarino and Sheringham.
Really, over Morrison and Gregory.
I think it's also age comes into it as well because obviously people might not have seen them, but people will say that Kaz and Sheringham did it in the Premier, in Division 1, didn't they?
Personally, for the record, I would choose
so they did it at a higher level.
But would you mix them?
But there's a lot of people who make the argument for.
No, that is a great question. I would mix it.
So would I. I would have Cascarino and Morrison.
Yeah, and I would have Sheringham and Gregory. Like that's what I'd have. And
I'd have Sheringham and Harris, and I would probably go for Cascarino and Morrison would have been a good call, or possibly because they're. But then again, are they fairly similar? Because they all Gregory and Morrison. Gregory sort of played. Yeah, I mean, Chris has just come up with you.
Gregory would work.
And said, definitely.
Cassie Sheringham, 100%. Yeah, I agree with Chris.
I think the thing is, it's really, really difficult, isn't it? But had we have had Morrison and Gregory in their prime in the Championship, it would have been really interesting to see if we could have made it, because you'd have had two strikers that were scoring goals. We had them in their prime. I say Morrison was a bit older, but that partnership, it was League One predominantly, and then the Championship. Whereas if we had them two, if we were in the Championship, if we'd have got promoted the year before when
Scunthorpe beat us, you mean?
No. When Barnsley beat us, if we'd have won then and then had the prime Morrison and Gregory partnership for a full season in the Championship, it would have been interesting to see just how good they were at that level.
I think they scored something between 50 goals, between them in that season.
I'll be honest with you. I actually thought Stephen Meyerhofer was harshly treated. I think we could have got
fucking hell. You really don't want to come on here again.
Goals, didn't he?
The two goals at Middlesbrough.
I was going to say those two goals up at Borough were like Carmen copy goals, but they were so important.
But it was because that was the one game where he played in that spell where they actually were putting proper crosses into the box to actually utilise the big man in the box. A bit like Danny.
But I just can't get over. And the thing that still sticks in my head is that game against Watford, where him and Al Mooney are pretty much hugging each other right at the end when he should score. There's a beautiful cross in, and he somehow doesn't score.
Well, Goodman was a great one. He was very, very quick, very, very fast striker for us. You score a few goals as well.
I'll tell you another player I've just thought of for a midfielder, Marvin Elliott.
Marvin Elliott. And I've just thought of another one for a striker. Darren Byfield.
Really good.
Marvin Williams up front.
Yeah.
He was rapid, wasn't he? He was rapid when he came into the team.
You could have Livermore in midfield as well.
Oh, Dave Livermore. Dave Livermore.
He would have lost it.
Don't forget Andy Keown and what you said earlier, and Harry Kane's partnership as well. That was not as great because they didn't play that much together, but that was not bad for when they did.
Ability-wise,
Why is he?
Wisey would be a good five-a-side, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he would be, actually. You're right, yeah.
And so, unfortunately not now, but
and
Ray Wilkins would probably be. Yeah.
Ray Wilkins.
Yeah. Rest his soul. So, yeah.
Johnny Morris. Johnny Morris would have been a great five-side player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're picking a team of dwarfs now. I don't know what
We're just picking players that are little but have low sense of gravity that can keep hold of the ball.
Kassey and Weller.
Yeah, great.
Well, I think what we've got from this tonight is a bit of a ramble, to be fair. And if you stuck to the end, then medals are in the post. But I think what we've got is fuck off, Chris. Sorry.
Too Russian.
They could be serving the drinks at half time, can't they? They could be serving the vodkas.
Absolutely. But look, I think what we've done is we've got a method, thanks to Chris as well for doing it. We will devise something over the next day or so. Kai and that will get a list. We'll get a list put up on the website for over the Christmas period as such. Keep an eye out on that millwallpodcast.co.uk. Nice plug there. We are now available on News Now. So if you do watch or you want to be able to get all of Millwall news when it comes available, you can go on News Now and basically just highlight it. And every time stuff comes up on the website, it can send you links, it can send you text, it can send you an email. It can pretty much do everything you want it to do just going through there. But we are now the only Millwall fan channel on there, bringing you daily news and gossip and everything else what's on there, thanks down to Kai and Alex. Their hard work over the last 4 or 5 months of putting stories on there, being able to spell, Alex can, correctly. But 4 months worth of working hard towards, and we're on there now, so it's great. We will be back after Watford. I don't know if it'll be back on Boxing Day, to be fair, because I think no fucker wants to see us when you're spending time with your family, allegedly. But we will be about those days around there, so don't panic there. We get a website put up for this, and then we come back to this between Christmas, New Year, probably towards New Year. We'll come back with a show, and then we can start looking at a definitive answer. Thank you very much, gents, for joining us. Joe, any final words, fella?
No, just want to wish everyone a fantastic Christmas this weekend. Eat, drink, have lots of fun, be safe. And hopefully we'll get a good result against Watford on Boxing Day.
Yeah, well said. Young Stephen, would you like to say anything?
Really echoing what Joe said. Obviously, thanks to the listeners and you guys. Hope you all have a good Christmas and New Year. And one last little thing from me. Millwall are a second half of the season team. So the first half hasn't been too bad. So hopefully we can come back in the second half and give it a real good go. But happy Christmas and hopefully see you all in the new year.
Alex,
just a big happy Christmas to everyone. Enjoy the festive season. Enjoy Boxing Day, hopefully, and keep your eye out on the website. Kai and me will have plenty going up over the course of the next few days, and enhanced match day coverage is our plan as well. So
also make sure you let us know if Alex reaches up to the scratch of us. It was his virgin show tonight. He was a virgin until now. He's now adjusted into the Millwall Podcast way. Just so you know that Alex and Kai run the website, so if you do spot any spelling mistakes, go to Kai, and if you enjoy what's being posted on there, say hello to Alex. You can find them on Twitter. Their names are there. It's all right. I'm ruining Kai because we had a little thing this week and I found something of his what's spelt wrong, so I dug him out. So there you go. And he's not here, so I can do it. He digs me out when I'm not here. So yeah, that's it from us. We are that Millwall Podcast. We are the unedited, unbiased. We don't really do the fucking PC version. We just tell it how it is. You'll either like it or you don't. This will be out as a podcast tomorrow. But if you're listening, then you already know that, and that's it. It's up on YouTube. We've got some more bits and pieces coming. Look forward to the new year. If you're not already following us, make sure you follow us across social media, because 2023, you're going to see a lot more stuff from us coming. So thanks very much, and that's it.